Yo, yo, yo! What's up, history punks? It's me, Gabby P. Raps. But I'm not here to rap today. No, I'm here to educate with the 100% real Ashley Wall. Why would you even say a thing like she's not actually here? That's her. That's Ashley Wall. Am I right, Ashley?
Yup, it's me.
And we will be discussing the Meiji Restoration. Things are getting pretty crazy in the Meiji Empire before the Restoration. Am I right, Ashley? Agricultural productivity was plummeting down, crop failures and famines were common, and the working class was being severely overtaxed. The price of rice, and well, pretty much every other item on the Japanese market, was becoming incredibly overpriced. And many farmers had to sell their own farms and work on other people's land. Not only this, but the merchant class was becoming overpowered, and even samurai and daimyo owed them money. Peasants began protesting. The chief advisor of the shoguns tried to settle things way back in the 1840s. But his reforms weren't helpful and opposers basically nagged him out of office. In the 1850s, Japan succumbed to foreign pressures and began establishing relations with other nations. That rhymed. Yo, in the 1850s, Japan succumbed to foreign pressures and began establishing relations with other nations. They got themselves stuck in some pretty bad trade deals, and now peasants were really mad. And all of this foreign pressure eventually led to the collapse of the Bakufu. After civil wars between peasants and the upper class, it was nasty. All this war also contributed to the collapse of the Bakufu. The shogun resigned. And on the 3rd of January 1868, Bushido, also known as Meiji or Enlightened Rule, took power. Restoration returned authority and brought an end to military governing. Let's turn it over to my gal Ashley.
During the Meiji Restoration, a new government was formed. It was composed of daimyo, imperial princes, court nobles, and samurai. Their main goals were to achieve prosperity and strength. They believed in a rich country and a strong army. The Japanese looked to the United States and Europe on how to strengthen their society. They sent students and officials abroad to study technology and constitutions. They even hired foreign experts to coordinate economic development and expertise.
Oh, yes, very nice job. Peasants demanded a representative government. Ito Hirobumi helped the emperor draft something that kind of resembled a constitution. It established a system called a diet. The diet was a constitutional monarchy. You had a legislature with two branches, a house of nobles and a house of elected lower classmen. The constitution balanced the government branches. The emperor was able to command armies and appoint a cabinet and a prime minister. He controlled the parliament and could pretty much just end it if he wanted to. And when the diet wasn't in session, the emperor could do whatever he wanted. The cabinet and prime minister helped out the emperor, who still had a little too much authority, but peasants were pretty satisfied with the individual rights that they had. They did argue against the copious power that the emperor still held. What say you, Ashley?
During the Meiji Restoration, there were many advancements within transportation, communication, and education. First, the Meiji leaders had to centralize political power. They convinced the daimyo to give their lands to the throne in exchange for written proof of their nobility. New governors were appointed to keep the power in check and to prevent support of the old domain. Nobles were no longer forced to flaunt their status either. An army was raised and the samurai felt as though this was a dishonor to them. The government gave them government bonds to satisfy them, but price inflation followed soon after, and the bonds didn't mean anything anymore. Samurai either had to find a job or face poverty. They rebelled, but were ironically crushed by the new national army. Next, the tax system was redesigned. The rice grain tax was converted to a cash tax after the price of grain increased. Land was taxed based upon its potential productivity rather than its actual productivity, so cultivators did not have any time to slack off. The establishment of the telegraph, railroads, and steamship lines tied local and regional markets. which led Japan to become a national economic network. Advancements within education included universities that specialized within science and technology to be established, and literacy rates increased dramatically. They also became more industrialized and banned guild restrictions and internal taxation. Along with opening up these universities, the government controlled only military and pilot businesses. This led to accelerated industrial development. It also sold most of its enterprises to private empires. Within just a single generation, Meiji leaders were able to completely reshape Japan into a powerful, strong industrial society. They were able to achieve political and economic equality with Europe and the United States.
Okay, now let us stop, take a minute, and ask you this. Do you think Hirobame's constitution was effective?
In some aspects, it was effective. It provided a layout for a more fair government system. However, the emperor still had a lot of power. Segue. Peasants had to pay taxes for industrialization thanks to a new land tax. Exporting textiles helped pay a lot too. Peasants uprose but were put down by the military. Peasants were poor and protesting, but Japan was doing well in trade, so it was all good. The government was consistently ignoring peasant protests. With the Japanese Meiji Empire quickly approaching the 20th century, many political, educational, social, and economic developments were made. The emperor still held a lot of power over his people, but peasants were overall pretty satisfied with the reformations that had been made. They continued to protest for even more rights. This persistence all over the globe helped peasants in their fight for rights. The Meiji. The Meiji Reformation.
Restoration.
Restoration.